to the men and women in Washington. We have Democratic Congressman John Garamendi with us right now. Congressman, good to see you.
Chris.
This is a moment many thought would never happen. On its face, is it a big win for the president already?
Well, yes. Depends what happens next. This is certainly a major moment. This is extremely important. Among the three paths that could have been followed, one is war. That's a horrible situation. The other is simply accept the fact that they can threaten America with the nuclear weapon. That's not a good one. Negotiations, that's the path that we're on. That's the right path. Where does it go from here? Remains to be seen. It will not be easy, and we must be very, very careful, because it's not just about the United States. This is about South Korea, Japan, China, Russia, the neighborhood. What comes of peace on the peninsula? Do we have an armistice that goes on, or do we have a peace treaty between these two countries?
You could argue the most important man isn't there, right? The South Korean leader has been so fundamental in making this happen, and he's also a big pivot point going forward, because he has his own economic considerations. He's got his own relationship with China. But let's stick with the moment for a second. So
sure.
I guess the biggest pushback at this point is, at what price did the president get this meet and greet? He gave the North what they've always wanted, you know, parity, the respect of being on the world stage as an equal with the United States of America. And they got there by threatening nuclear capabilities. So the criticism becomes, so this is how you get America's attention? Isn't this what we'll keep seeing from rogue nations?
Well, we're certainly going to see this kind of thing occur probably again. We'll take a look at Iran. The Iran deal has been pushed aside. Iran is now talking about starting up their nuclear ambitions once again. And certainly, there's no doubt that a nuclear bomb gets you, what is that song? Respect? R-E-S-P-E-C-T? Yeah, they're going to have a lot of respect when they have a nuclear bomb, and North Korea does. And clearly, that was a principal factor, together with their ICBMs, that literally brought the United States to the table, as well as North Korea. And you quite correctly said, the role of South Korea, President Moon in this, cannot be put aside. It was fundamental.
Well, you know, it's interesting. First of all, it's interesting that you're a Democrat and you agree with the president's move here. You think this was the right move to do, right?
Absolutely. The other move was war, or just accept the fact that they can continue to threaten us. We had to go to negotiations. I said this more than a year ago as this thing started to blossom, and here we are. Will it be successful at the in the future? There is no end of the day here, but in the future, those steps, we'll have to see what comes. Well, good, hard negotiations are going to have to take place right away.
All right, but be that as it may, it is good to see a Democrat who agrees with something the president does come out and say so. We need more action on common ground by you men and women. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck in this toxic finger-pointing forever. So that's progress just on its face, having you on tonight saying that. So now there is the, well, what will make it a success beyond the photo ops? You know, the Aretha Franklin song that you're referring to, that song is all about give and get, right? I've given to you, what do you give back? So North Korea has gotten a lot just with these photo ops, just these pictures on our screen. What does the United States have to get here and now for this to be a success?
First, I would say a very clear timetable and a path with certain steps along the way that would be towards the denuclearization, quite probably an accounting of what they have available, the weapons they have, the facilities they have, and then simultaneously a freeze, which now seems to be in place, a continuation of the freeze on the development of new bombs and continued testing of the missile systems. Those would seem to be right at the outset. Now, there have been discussions by Pompeo, a fellow that I know very well, having served with him on the Armed Services Committee for about 5 years. I don't know what he has put together, but my guess is that he has put together some framework of steps that are going to be taken, quite possibly with certain time calendars associated with that. That's all good. I want to hear that. I know that Congress is definitely wanting to hear that. And we want to be very, very sure that the president does not give away what we do have on the peninsula, which is the American forces there that are absolutely critical to the safety of South Vietnam.
But you have to believe, Congressman, that that is going to be on the table. North Korea has such existential concerns. Jim Clapper, the former director of national security, was on with me. He'll be on again. He said when he met with the North Koreans that they had paranoia, profound paranoia about bombers. So even if it's not about the personnel on the peninsula, that will get tricky. If the North and South have peace, then you'll be negotiating with the South about that. But the idea of bombers may be on the table. Military capabilities, ships in the area. Are you willing, as a Democrat, as a member of Congress, to give on any of the U.S. capabilities in the area?
No, not unless there's clear movement on the part of North Korea to move away from its nuclear armaments, from its nuclear program, and from the ICBMs. Unless that is absolutely clear, the answer is no, we should not give 1 inch, not one plane, not one tank, not one gun, until such time as we have some clarity about exactly what's going to happen, and it is verifiable. Keep in mind that this is not the first negotiation at the highest level. This is probably the 4th negotiation at the highest level, although the principals did not sit down.
Right.
And each and every time in the past, North Korea just continued to hide its nuclear program and continue on its way towards a multiple nuclear bombs.
Well, there's one factor that has changed, and our source on the potential for this change is none other than Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is, according to Jim Clapper, the director of national intelligence, and by all indications, the best resource when it comes to understanding the mind of Kim Jong-un, because he's had the most, in-depth conversations about this with him. And he says that this man is open to peace and that he wanted a meeting like this. He said it 4 years ago. He says he went to the Obama administration and tried to get their attention, and they blew him off. And now here we are. Do you believe Dennis is reckoning that Kim Jong-un has an open mind and an open heart when it comes to peace? Can you believe that from a despot who kills his own people with regularity?
Well, he's at the table with the president, and he has his nuclear weapons, he has his intercontinental ballistic missiles, and he's in the power position at the moment. We certainly have plenty of power. We have our Army, we have our Air Force, we have our own bombs. It's a different situation now. The thing that I'm curious about, if Dennis Rodman is the guy that knows all about Kim Jong-un, who is the fellow that Kim Jong-un has in the United States that knows all about President Trump, understands the president's mind? I don't know. Certainly there are a few of us that are wondering about that. But nonetheless, this is important. We can look to the future here and be hopeful. And be hopeful that out of this summit will come a continued negotiations and a step down, step by step, over the next several months and years to move away from what has been one of the most dangerous places in the world. Certainly you look at Syria and Iraq, those are dangerous, but you look at North and South Korea, this is where the big international war will start, right there. And it could start at any moment. The mission of the American military in South Korea is ready to fight tonight. And so it is a razor's edge every day, every moment, every second. Anything that backs that down is a good thing.
Well, that is a heady consideration, and we do know in a recent report from the DNI that they consider Russia, China, and North Korea to be the biggest security profile threats from a cyber perspective for the United States of America. Before you even get to nukes or conventional weapons, they're worried just about cyber capabilities. Congressman Garamendi, appreciate your perspective on this. Hope to have more conversations with you going forward.
Look forward to it, Chris.
All right, be well.